I should have filmed how this came out so I knew how it went back in there.
More wasted tape. Sorry, babe.
Dope.
What's up, guys? Today we have another garage day. I had a customer call me. They said they were having a starting problem, some power steering noises in this RAV4. This is an 05. I got it in. Power steering res, basically it was empty. Fluid looks like it's original. Pump hose looked like it was leaking. So what I did was pull the pump out. Reservoir, what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace this low pressure line. These get hard and crusty, and that looks like it was probably leaking from there. The pumps, these are basically just an O-ring pump. So if you have one of these pumps that's leaking and you have a little bit of extra time, go to the dealer, or I think you can probably get these from like O'Reilly's or whatever as well. You can just buy a new O-ring kit, because typically what goes on is these O-rings just get crusty from lack of maintenance and then they start leaking. So instead of eating 100 and something bucks on a new pump, this kit costs like 35 bucks. I gotta be honest, pulling that pump was kind of a bitch, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's 2 bolts. It just kind of was wedged in there and I was fighting with it. So now I'm gonna get after it. This is your suction here. I had to remove this to get it out of the car. This guy goes like this. 1 bolt. This is a 12mm head. You just zip that out and get it out of the way. This is your suction deal here. And this was your pressure switch. So I broke the switch and blew that. I broke it. I'll have to replace that now. But the way this goes in here, this is your spring and your valve. The spring goes in the valve like this. I'll show you when we go back together. And then this guy screws on top of that. There's one O-ring right there, you'll see. We'll get that replaced as well. There's these 4 bolts that go in the back of the deal. I took those all out. And we'll start tearing this pump down. All these pumps are just kind of sectional. So you can see where the bolts come off. You can see where this is starting to come apart right here. So that will just peel out of there. Alright, so there's that back piece comes off there. You can see there's an O-ring groove right there. The other O-ring. This little stud goes down in that hole there. And there's a little snap ring holding this pump fan piece on right here. Alright, so there's a little tiny snap ring right there. See that guy? Let's dig it out of there with the hook. Now this vane should come off. Come on, baby. Alright, now that whole assembly will come up out of there like that. And there must be a snap ring underneath that pulley, I suppose. Big old O-ring right there. There's this guy. That shaft just pushed out of there. There's our seal. New seal.
Dude, what in the actual are you doing? That is not the tool for that.
Alright, good. Now this guy, make sure that shaft isn't all shankered up. And we'll put her back in here. This already has a bunch of lube on it. And then this is in there with a bushing, not a bearing. Just like that. Alright, there's an O-ring underneath there. We're going to swap that guy out. right there. That'll swap with this guy here. So these vanes go back in here. There's a little rounded edge and there's a flat edge. The round edge goes out. Back to another like that. On this little guy. In. Alright, last O-ring. And that little stud goes down in this little hole here. Something like that. Good. Okay, that was good stuff. So, new hose. I'm going to swap it out with that hose real quick. So what goes on in these, like I was talking about before, these will just get hard from petroleum pollution. Anyway, they get hard, they get crusty, and then they start leaking. You can see how that clamp stamp, like a tramp stamp, still there. Anyway, new pieces. You can see this guy doesn't have the stamp in there, and it's nice and supple. I'll just show you what it looks like in here if you're doing this on the jack like I am or whatever, and you don't want to lie under the car or whatnot. Okay. And the pump goes in this void right here. These front holes are slotted, so this upper one has to be installed in the pump to go in this hole. It's actually pretty tight fit. When you go to take this apart, I actually recommend back this one all the way out, break this one loose, and then try to pry it out, because I was fighting with it doing it the opposite way. But you can see these are threaded bosses and it's aluminum, so try not to, just be careful. Those threaded bosses are a steel insert into the aluminum, and like I said, I fought this out, so those were pulled in a little bit. Get in there with a brass drift or something and punch those back into the hole. Then the pump will just slide in and out of that hole a little bit easier for you. I should have filmed how this came out so I knew how it went back in there. There we go. Okay, now she's in the hole. So should just be able to get this upper bolt in the slot there. show you what I'm using to get this upper bolt out. It's kind of done. You have to get them behind the pulley. I ended up using this U-joint because I didn't have the exact right length one. It's just kind of a funny length between the firewall and stuff, and really removing the motor mount didn't help me at all, so don't bother. But that's what's up with that. The lower one obviously is just easy to get onto. You can hit it with a straight, so pretty gravy. There's the part number. There's the switches. Here's the new guy. Comes with the O-ring on there already. So go ahead and get that installed.
We got the feed in, 12mm bolt. Like I said, I put it in there because we had to do it that way, and we'll run that new hose down on top of it.
Alrighty, so the pump is in, the line is on. We're getting ready to put fluid back in there. A little quick tip here. Quickie funnel. A lot of these have this like wide mouth jug on them anymore, and it basically will thread into there and make you a quick funnel. If you don't have a funnel, or like the skinny funnels won't stay in that hole, and because the VVTi thing is right there and it's just in the way. So free funnel. Anyway, just a little quick tip. And some of the stuff that I didn't talk about, like pulling the belt off and all this, some ancillary stuff, is just because, like for example, with this video, we're rebuilding that power steering pump. I kind of have to hold the assumption that you can get a belt off. So I don't really need to talk about that, because if you can't get the belt off, you shouldn't be rebuilding the pump. Kind of makes sense, just step-by-step thing. This really is a super simple job. It's not like there's really anything spectacular going on or anything. So mostly it was about being able to just show you how to reseal those pumps, that the parts are available through the dealer. I think you can get a lot of these part kits like through Dorman and stuff as well, like through O'Reilly's or whatever. And it's really not that big of a deal. We didn't really even take any special tools to get that out. The main impeller thing just came out of there. And on some of the pumps, it'll take a snap ring to get that bearing out or to get to that seal or whatever. But again, it's just like one special tool. A lot of times they will just fall apart. Sometimes those O-rings are really hard and crusty. Like these weren't super bad, but sometimes they are, and it makes those discs and things a little bit tougher to get out of there. But they have, you know, a lot of times you can drop it on the desk, or they have like blind hole pullers that you can use to get those out of there if they're a little bit tougher. I'm gonna go ahead and get this system bled up, and what I recommend you do typically, like on this where we had the pump out, you had the rack out, you're doing a flush, whatever the case may be. What I do is I seal the system all the way back up. I fill the reservoir back up, and you maybe don't go too crazy because we're trying to get the air out here, but what I do typically is I will, like I said, I'll full it up and then I will cycle it back and forth.
Cycle it a couple times, see how it bubble, it goes down, put it back up.
Alright, I'm going to fire that off real quick and then pump. Go! You can see in there, a little pink, it's got some aeration. Really the big thing with bleeding any system is just to have a little bit of patience. Because if you mess around and aerate the fluid, then it just takes a long time. So got a little bit of aeration in there, like I said, to be expected since we had the pump out. The pump was empty, so we'll let that sit for a minute and then we'll come back to it. There's not really much else going on with this job. I'm just doing an oil change, and of course we have to do a battery because this car came in with a dead battery as well. I couldn't find my preferred brand of battery. They were back ordered, they said. And so, like with everything else, I just have to preach going AGM, like your typical wet cell battery. Dude, this is like 100-year-old technology. Please stop using it. So like here's a telltale sign. If your battery posts or any of your things are growing corrosion, it means your battery's dying, plain and simple, okay? There are no two ways around it. The other part of that is your battery gassing, making corrosion on your parts and everything in that general vicinity, okay? So the reason I'm gonna preach AGM batteries or these sealed batteries is because they just don't do that. That gassing doesn't happen. Even when the batteries start going bad, you just don't see that, okay? So the battery I just pulled out of the 4Runner was, like I said, 10 years old. I don't think I really ever had it out of the rig once I put it in there, maybe. So I pulled it out, you know, and like there was really not even anything underneath the terminal. It's just a tiny bit of stuff. And that's like zero maintenance, okay? So these AGM batteries are, when they don't just fail, there is zero. Like I said, I've had 2 AGM batteries and they lasted 10+ years. The Odyssey I put in the 4Runner hopefully is gonna give me another 10 years out of them, okay? So this battery on this car, you can see right here, it's 2 years old. This car's a driver. It's not like it sits around. It's just, I mean, there's nothing else. It's just garbage, okay? So I can't preach to you guys about the big brand AGM, okay? You can see because that's not the big brand. That's not the big brand. The big brand guys, those batteries suck, so don't believe the hype. I decided that they're the Red Bull of batteries. They're not actually building an awesome product, they just have awesome media. So props to Red Bull and I guess the other guys for doing their thing, but just not being able to get good products anymore sucks. It's a joke and it's annoying and it's a pain in the ass and you waste everybody's time, dude. So I don't understand how you can sleep at night with a good conscience building garbage and selling it to people who actually work for a living. So please stop doing that.
That wraps up another episode of Snale Racing.
Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe.